frozen cage. The icy wind howled like a beast over the endless white wasteland. Emma adjusted her goggles, narrowing her eyes against the blinding glare of the sun reflecting off the snow. Their expedition had been in the Arctic for weeks, searching for something groundbreaking, something that would change the way humanity understood this frozen abyss. But what they found was far beyond anything they had ever imagined. Ronald, standing beside her, exhaled, his breath turning to mist in the frigid air. "I don't like this," he muttered. "That distress signal, it came from a station that was abandoned over 20 years ago. How is that possible?" Emma checked her tablet, the signal still blinking red on the screen. "We'll find out soon enough. We're close." Their snowmobiles hummed as they moved toward the coordinates, cutting through the desolate landscape. The others in their team, 5 researchers and 2 armed security personnel, followed behind. They had no idea that they were heading straight into a nightmare. As they approached the research station, a towering metal structure buried beneath ice and snow, an uneasy silence fell over the group. The place was eerily intact despite the decades that had passed. No sign of collapse, no damage, just an unnatural stillness. "Emma, stay close," Ronald said, gripping his rifle. "Something's wrong." Emma stepped forward and placed her gloved hand on the door. It wasn't frozen shut. In fact, it was slightly ajar. The group exchanged nervous glances before Emma pushed it open. The interior was dark, the power long since dead. Their flashlights illuminated the frost-covered walls and the overturned furniture. The station had been abandoned in a hurry, papers and lab equipment scattered across the floor, as if the people here had run for their lives. A flickering monitor in the corner of the room caught Emma's attention. She approached it cautiously and wiped away the frost covering the screen. The emergency power must have been running on some kind of backup battery. A log file was open, the last entry dated 20 years ago. "We made a mistake. We should never have opened it. If anyone finds this, run. Don't let it out." Emma's pulse quickened. "Ronald, you need to see this." Before he could respond, a sound echoed through the hallway, a deep guttural growl, something not human. They spun around just as a shadow darted past the open doorway. Ronald raised his rifle. "Who's there?" Silence. Then the sound of heavy breathing. Emma swallowed hard. It could be a bear. But even as she said it, she knew that wasn't true. No bear had glowing yellow eyes that pierced the darkness. The creature lunged. A blur of speed and muscle, it crashed into one of the security personnel, its claws slicing through his thick jacket like paper. A gurgling scream filled the room before his body was tossed aside like a rag doll, his lifeless eyes staring at the ceiling. "Open fire!" Ronald shouted. Gunfire erupted, the flashes of light illuminating the horror before them. It was massive, standing at least 8 feet tall, its body a grotesque fusion of flesh and ice. The bullets barely slowed it down. It moved too fast, weaving through the chaos, its claws slashing through another team member's throat. "Run!" Emma screamed. They scattered, desperate to escape the slaughter. Emma and Ronald sprinted down a narrow corridor, their breath coming in ragged gasps. The creature's roar shook the walls, a primal, bone-chilling sound that made every instinct scream to flee. "What the hell is that thing?" Emma gasped. Ronald checked his rifle, half his ammo gone already. Something that shouldn't exist. They reached a locked steel door. Emma fumbled with the keypad, her fingers trembling. Come on, come on." The beast crashed into the hallway behind them. It moved on all fours, its elongated limbs and jagged teeth gleaming under the emergency lights. The keypad blinked green. The door slid open. They dove inside, slamming the door behind them just as the creature rammed against it. Bang! 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 The metal dented inward with each monstrous impact. Emma turned, her flashlight scanning the room. It was a laboratory, but unlike the chaos outside, this place was untouched. Glass containers lined the walls, filled with an eerie blue liquid. In the center of the room, a massive glass pod stood upright. Something was inside it. Emma approached cautiously. The glass was cracked, frost covering the surface. She wiped it clean with her sleeve. Her breath caught in her throat. Inside was a humanoid figure, its body frozen in a thick layer of ice. But it wasn't dead. Its eyes snapped open. The temperature in the room plummeted instantly. Frost spread across the walls and floor, creeping toward them. Ronald grabbed Emma's arm. "We need to get out of here. Now! The frozen figure inside the pod moved, ice cracking as it lifted a hand. The glass exploded outward, sending shards flying. A voice echoed in their minds, not from the creature, but from deep within their own consciousness. You should have never come here. Then the power went out, and the screaming began. The darkness swallowed them whole. Emma's heart pounded in her chest, her breath coming in short, panicked gasps. The laboratory, once dimly lit by the emergency power, was now submerged in pitch blackness. The only sound was the distant howling of the wind outside and the slow, ominous cracking of ice creeping along the walls. "Emma," Ronald's voice was barely above a whisper. "Are you okay?" "I'm here," she managed to say, gripping his arm in the darkness. What the hell was that thing? A deep, guttural sound resonated from where the containment pod had shattered, a noise that didn't belong in this world. Emma fumbled for her flashlight, hands shaking. The moment she switched it on, the beam cut through the darkness, revealing the figure that had been trapped inside. It was humanoid, but not human. Its body was encased in jagged ice, sharp crystalline formations protruding from its shoulders and arms. Its skin, if it could even be called that, was a deathly pale blue, pulsing with an eerie glow beneath the surface. Its eyes, twin orbs of liquid gold, locked onto Emma with a gaze so intense it made her blood run cold. And then it moved. Ronald reacted first, raising his rifle and firing. The bullets ricocheted off the creature's ice-covered body, embedding themselves uselessly in the walls. The thing didn't even flinch. Emma grabbed Ronald's arm. "We need to run, now." The creature took a step forward. The ice on its body crackled and shifted, responding to its movements as if it were alive. Then, without warning, the temperature plummeted. The breath in Emma's lungs turned to mist. The very air froze. Ice formed on her eyelashes, her clothes stiffening as the moisture around them crystallized. She heard a crack behind her. She spun around in horror. One of the scientists, still standing near the door, had been completely frozen in place. His body was covered in a thin layer of frost, his eyes wide and unblinking. A second later, his frozen body shattered into 1,000 pieces. Emma didn't have time to scream. Ronald grabbed her hand and yanked her toward the emergency exit. "Go!" They sprinted through the darkened hallway, their breath coming in panicked gasps. The creature's presence was everywhere. The very walls seemed to ice over as it moved, frost crawling across the floor like a living thing. Then came the roar. A sound so inhuman, so otherworldly, it shook the very air around them. Emma turned just in time to see the creature lunge. Ronald shoved her aside at the last second. The beast crashed into him, sending them both flying through a glass window and into the snow outside. "Ronald!" Emma screamed. She scrambled after them, ignoring the searing cold against her skin. Outside, the blizzard raged. Snow and ice whipped across her vision as she searched frantically for Ronald. Then, through the storm, she saw them, Ronald and the creature, locked in a brutal struggle. The thing's clawed hand was wrapped around Ronald's throat, lifting him off the ground as if he weighed nothing. Ronald struggled, gasping for air, his hands clawing at the ice-covered grip that threatened to crush his windpipe. Emma acted on instinct. She reached for the emergency flare gun strapped to her belt. With shaking hands, she aimed at the creature's head and pulled the trigger. A bright red explosion of fire and heat burst through the storm, slamming into the monster's face. The reaction was instant. The creature screeched. A sound so piercing, Emma felt it in her bones. It dropped Ronald, clutching its face as the fire spread across its icy skin, melting the frost away in rapid bursts of steam. Ronald collapsed into the snow, coughing violently. Emma ran to his side, grabbing him by the arm. "Come on, we have to go!" The creature was writhing, thrashing, its once perfect icy form beginning to melt. But then, something worse happened. As the ice melted, it revealed something beneath. Something alive. Emma's breath caught in her throat. The creature wasn't just made of ice. The ice was a prison. And now they had set it free. The air changed. The storm suddenly stopped. The howling wind ceased. The snowflakes, frozen mid-air, hung suspended as if time itself had paused. And then, a voice, deep, ancient, and resonating inside their minds rather than their ears. "Fools." Emma's hands clenched into fists. The creature straightened, the last remnants of ice falling away from its body. What stood before them now was something else entirely. It was humanoid, but its skin was blackened like charred obsidian. Its golden eyes burned brighter, filled with intelligence, and something else. Hunger. Ronald pulled Emma back. We need to leave, now. But they didn't get the chance. With inhuman speed, the creature vanished and reappeared right in front of them. Before Emma could react, its hand shot forward, grabbing her by the throat. She gasped as an unbearable cold flooded through her body. Images flashed before her eyes, memories that weren't hers. She saw a team of scientists from 20 years ago. She saw their desperation, their fear. She saw them accidentally awakening something they couldn't control. She saw them trying to contain it, freezing it in ice as their last hope to prevent disaster. And now she saw their mistake repeating. Emma choked, her vision darkening. Then, a gunshot. Ronald had fired point blank at the creature's head. It barely flinched, but it was enough. The grip on Emma's throat loosened just for a second. She gasped, breaking free, collapsing into the snow. Ronald grabbed her. Run! Run! They bolted, tearing through the snow, through the storm that had resumed with a vengeance. The facility loomed ahead of them, but there was no time. Behind them, the creature's laughter echoed through the storm. You cannot escape the cold. Then the world went white. The last thing Emma heard was the roar of an avalanche, coming straight for them. And then, nothing. To be continued.
Love at First Sight. Chapter 1. An Unforgettable Encounter. In the heart of New York City, amidst the hustle and bustle of Times Square, Emma wandered aimlessly, lost in thought. She had just moved to the city, leaving behind her small hometown in Ohio, seeking adventure and a fresh start. Little did she know, fate had something extraordinary in store for her. As she strolled past the vibrant billboards and street performers, a sudden rain shower sent people scurrying for cover. Emma ducked into a nearby cafe, the warm aroma of coffee and pastries offering a welcome respite from the downpour. She found a cozy corner table, pulled out her notebook, and began jotting down her thoughts. A few tables away, a young man named Daniel sat, engrossed in a book. He was a writer, often frequenting this cafe for inspiration. Today, however, his concentration was broken by the sight of a young woman entering the cafe, her hair slightly damp from the rain, and her eyes sparkling with curiosity. Emma glanced up from her notebook, and their eyes met. There was an undeniable spark, a connection that neither of them could explain. She smiled shyly, and he returned the gesture. That simple exchange was the beginning of something neither of them could have anticipated. Chapter 2. A Serendipitous Meeting. The next day, Emma found herself drawn back to the same cafe. She settled into her corner once again, hoping to catch a glimpse of the intriguing man she had seen the day before. As she sipped her coffee, she felt a presence nearby. Looking up, she saw Daniel standing before her, holding a cup of coffee and wearing a warm smile. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, his voice gentle and inviting. "Not at all," Emma replied, her heart racing with excitement. They spent hours talking, sharing stories about their lives, dreams, and aspirations. Emma learned that Daniel was an aspiring novelist, struggling to find his voice in the crowded literary world. Daniel discovered that Emma was a photographer, passionate about capturing the beauty of everyday moments. As the days turned into weeks, their connection deepened. They explored the city together, from the quiet corners of Central Park to the bustling streets of Chinatown. Each moment spent together felt like a cherished memory in the making. Chapter 3. Love Blossoms. One crisp autumn evening, Daniel invited Emma to his apartment for dinner. He had spent the entire day preparing a special meal, hoping to impress her with his culinary skills. As they sat down to eat, the flickering candlelight cast a warm glow on their faces. "Emma," Daniel began, his voice filled with emotion, I've never felt this way about anyone before. From the moment I saw you, I knew you were special. Being with you has been the most incredible experience of my life." Emma's eyes filled with tears of joy. "I feel the same way, Daniel. You've brought so much happiness into my life. I never believed in love at first sight, but now I do." They leaned in, their lips meeting in a tender kiss. It was a moment of pure magic, a culmination of all the emotions they had been feeling since that first encounter. Chapter 4: Trials and Triumphs. As their relationship blossomed, Emma and Daniel faced their share of challenges. Balancing their careers and personal lives was no easy feat. Emma's photography often took her on assignments far from the city, while Daniel's writing demanded long hours of solitude. Yet, their love only grew stronger. They learned to support each other, finding ways to stay connected despite the distance. Late-night phone calls, surprise visits, and heartfelt letters became their lifelines. One evening, while walking along the Brooklyn Bridge, Daniel stopped and took Emma's hands in his. "Emma, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me?" Tears streamed down Emma's face as she nodded, her heart overflowing with love. "Yes, Daniel. 1,000 times, yes." Chapter 5: Forever Begins. Their wedding was a celebration of their love, surrounded by family and friends who had witnessed their journey. As they exchanged vows, promising to love and cherish each other for all eternity, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Emma and Daniel's love story became an inspiration to many, a testament to the power of love at first sight. They built a life filled with joy, adventure, and unwavering support for each other's dreams. Years passed, and their love only deepened. They grew old together, their hearts forever entwined. Even in their twilight years, they still held hands, still shared tender kisses, and still looked at each other with the same adoration they had felt on that rainy day in the cafe. And so, their story became a timeless tale of love, proof that sometimes, when you least expect it, love at first sight can lead to a lifetime of happiness. Chapter 6: A New Chapter. As Emma and Daniel sat on their porch, watching the sunset, they reflected on the life they had built together. "We've had quite the journey, haven't we?" Emma said, her voice filled with gratitude. Daniel smiled, his eyes twinkling with love. "Indeed we have, and I wouldn't trade a single moment of it." Their story continued, each day bringing new adventures and memories. They traveled the world, capturing its beauty through Emma's lens and Daniel's words. They supported each other's dreams, cheering each other on through every success and failure. Their love remained a beacon of hope, a reminder that true love knows no bounds. It transcends time and distance, growing stronger with each passing day. As they held hands, watching the sun dip below the horizon, they knew that their love story would live on forever, in their hearts, in their memories, and in the stories they shared with others. For Emma and Daniel, love at first sight was just the beginning of an extraordinary journey. And as they embraced the future, they did so with the unwavering belief that their love was truly eternal. Epilogue: A Legacy of Love. Years later, as their children and grandchildren gathered to celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary, Emma and Daniel's love story became a cherished family legend. Their love had touched countless lives, inspiring others to believe in the magic of love at first sight. Their home was filled with laughter and joy, a testament to the enduring power of their love. Photos and mementos from their adventures adorned the walls, each one a reminder of the incredible journey they had shared. As they sat surrounded by their loved ones, Emma and Daniel knew that their love had created a legacy of hope, joy, and unwavering commitment. And so, their story continued, a beautiful testament to the fact that love at first sight can indeed lead to a lifetime of happiness and beyond.